You did not find this message by chance. Something in you was already asking for it, before your mind could put it into words. Maybe you tried to act normal. Maybe you smiled, stayed busy, answered people, kept moving, kept pretending the story was over. But deep down, something never fully went quiet. A question kept breathing under the surface. A name kept returning. A feeling kept standing at the door of your heart, asking to be seen. And if that is where you are right now, stay with me, because what you are about to hear may reach the part of you that has been tired of doubting what it already feels. This is not about chasing fantasy. It is about recognizing what refuses to die inside you. Sometimes the strongest truth does not arrive with noise. It arrives with a pull, a pause, a sudden stillness in your chest. So before you scroll, before you dismiss this, give me a few minutes. Because if this message found you at the exact moment your heart was getting ready to give up, then maybe that is the sign. Maybe this is the moment you stop calling your feelings weakness and start seeing them for what they are. And what comes next matters more than you think, so listen closely. You are not imagining the depth of this connection. You are not making it bigger than it is just because you care deeply. Real love does not need to scream to be real. Sometimes it lives in silence. Sometimes it survives distance. Sometimes it stays alive in a way the mind cannot explain, because it was never built only by logic in the first place. There is a reason this person still lives in your inner world. There is a reason their memory returns at odd hours, in quiet rooms, in ordinary moments that suddenly feel charged with meaning. And no, that does not always mean you are stuck. Sometimes it means something unfinished is still moving beneath the surface. The space between you is not always proof of failure. It can also be a pause, a turning point, a hidden season where something is being shaped out of sight. So stop telling yourself that distance erased what was real. Stop calling every silent stretch an ending. Some bonds do not disappear just because the outer world goes still. Some bonds keep working in the unseen, where timing, fear, healing and truth all move slower than the heart wants, but never without purpose. If this is speaking directly to you, stay until the end, because the deeper part of this story explains why the silence has felt so heavy, and why giving up now may be the one thing your soul has never truly wanted to do. What you feel is not only about memory, it is about resonance. It is about that strange, quiet pull that keeps returning even when you try to reason your way out of it. You may have told yourself that if this person really cared, things would be simple, clear, immediate. But human beings are not always simple when the feeling is real. Sometimes the strongest emotions create the deepest fear. Sometimes people step back, not because they feel nothing, but because they feel too much and do not know how to carry it. They become quiet. They hide. They try to regain control. On the outside, it can look cold. It can look detached. But appearance is not always truth. There are people who think of someone constantly and still say nothing. There are people who replay old moments, hear a familiar song, see a place, a phrase, an image, and feel a shift they cannot explain. There are people who try to move on and discover that the feeling keeps following them into every normal day. So if you have been asking why this bond still breathes inside you, maybe the better question is this. Why has it survived every attempt to dismiss it? Why does it return with such force when everything else in life comes and goes? That is not a small thing. That is not random. And in a moment, I am going to show you the signs that this connection may still be active in ways you have been overlooking. So keep listening. One of the clearest signs is what happens inside you without warning. A sudden heaviness, a wave of emotion with no obvious cause, a memory that lands so sharply you have to stop what you are doing, a strange warmth in your chest, a pull in your stomach, a dream that feels more vivid than usual, a song arriving at the exact moment you were trying not to think about them. You may brush these things away as coincidence. You may call them stress, habit, imagination, but sometimes they are the language of unfinished feeling. Sometimes they are reminders that love does not always speak through words. It speaks through energy, attention, memory, and emotional echoes that pass through the quiet spaces of a day. Think about it. How many times has their face appeared in your mind when you were not trying to summon it? How many times has your body reacted before your thoughts could catch up? How many nights have you felt like something was shifting, even though nothing on the outside had changed yet? Stay with this, because most people leave right here. They get uncomfortable when truth starts getting too close. But if you are still here, then you already know this is not just entertainment. Something in you recognizes it, and that recognition matters. Not because it proves some fantasy, but because it shows your inner world has been trying to tell you something your mind keeps delaying. Listen carefully now, because the next part may explain why the silence has never felt empty to you. Silence is not always emptiness. Sometimes silence is pressure. Sometimes silence is conflict. Sometimes silence is the sound a person makes when their heart is full and their fear is louder than their courage. The one you keep thinking about may be in a battle you cannot see. They may feel the bond and still pull away. They may care deeply and still freeze. They may want closeness and still choose distance because closeness would force them to feel everything they have spent years avoiding. That does not make their silence easy. It does not excuse confusion, but it may explain why this has felt so intense. When someone carries old wounds, real love can feel less like comfort at first and more like exposure. It becomes a mirror. It lights up the places that still need healing. And many people run from what shows them the truth too clearly. They do not run because the connection is weak. They run because the connection is strong enough to change them. So if this person stepped back, it may not mean you meant nothing. It may mean what they felt was too real to handle in the state they were in. Read that again in your spirit. Too real to handle, not too small to matter. And if that lands, keep going with me, because the next truth is where many people finally understand why this story has stayed alive for so long. Some connections enter your life to entertain you. Others arrive to transform you. This one feels like transformation. That is why it has not left you untouched. That is why it has not behaved like a passing crush, a light attraction, or a memory that fades once routine returns. It keeps pressing on your inner world because it is tied to growth, to healing, to lessons neither of you may have fully learned yet. And this is where many people get frustrated because they want quick answers for something that is changing them at the deepest level. But deep things do not move on the schedule of impatience. They move when truth is ready. Maybe this season has not only been about whether this person returns. Maybe it has also been about who you become while the answer is forming. Maybe you are being taught how to love without collapsing, how to feel deeply without abandoning yourself, how to stop begging the outside world to confirm what your own spirit already knows. That does not mean waiting forever. It means growing real roots. It means becoming steady. Because when your whole emotional life starts depending on one message, one call, one sign, one reaction, you hand away your center. And the lesson here may be to bring your center back home. Keep listening, because once you understand this, the whole energy of the connection changes. The story stops being about fear and starts becoming about alignment. Alignment begins when you stop chasing what is meant to meet you halfway. Read that slowly. The moment you stop pouring all your energy into anxiety, into checking, into searching for proof in every silence, you reclaim your power. And that power changes everything, because pressure pushes love away, desperation clouds your vision, but peace creates space. Peace makes you magnetic. Peace sends a message stronger than words ever could. I am no longer breaking myself to hold what is real. I trust what is true, to reveal itself in the right time and in the right form. That kind of energy is not passive. It is strong. It is clear. It is grounded. It does not beg. It does not force. It does not spend all night trying to decode every tiny shift. It breathes. It trusts. It returns to life. So if you want this connection to move in a healthier direction, start by bringing your focus back to yourself, back to your body, back to your peace, back to your purpose, back to the parts of you that deserve attention even when love feels uncertain. This is where release becomes powerful, not because you stop caring, but because you stop shrinking, not because you deny the bond, but because you refuse to lose your soul inside it. And if you are still listening, the next part is important, because this is where longing turns into strength. You can care deeply and still stay calm. You can miss someone and still build a beautiful life. You can feel the bond and still choose not to live in emotional survival mode. That is the shift. That is the upgrade. And once that shift begins, everything inside you starts becoming clearer. The signs no longer control you. They guide you. The memories no longer break you. They inform you. The silence no longer makes you panic. It teaches you what still needs healing in you too. Because let us be honest, this season is not only working on them, it is working on you. It is showing you where fear still lives, where attachment becomes obsession, where hope becomes helplessness, where your worth gets tangled in another person's timing. But this is also the place where you can change the pattern. You can decide that love will not be the reason you abandon your own peace ever again. You can decide that if something is real, it will not require you to destroy yourself to keep believing in it. Sit with that. Let it sink in. Because the more whole you become, the less you chase shadows. And the less you chase shadows, the easier it becomes to recognize what is truly meant for you. Stay here with me, because the next truth is the one that gives this whole journey its deeper meaning. Pain is not always proof that something is wrong. Sometimes it is proof that something matters. Sometimes it is the pressure that breaks old patterns open. Sometimes it is the fire that burns away illusion, ego, urgency, and fear, until what remains is cleaner, simpler, and more honest than what came before. That may be what this separation has been doing, refining both of you in different ways, softening what was rigid, exposing what was hidden, breaking the old walls that could never carry real intimacy for long. And yes, that process hurts. It hurts to feel deeply and not know the outcome. It hurts to sense connection and not have clarity. It hurts when your heart says one thing and your circumstances say another. But do not confuse pain with meaninglessness. Some of the biggest changes in life arrive wearing the face of discomfort first. Some of the most real love stories begin with confusion, distance, fear, and inner work no one else can see. That does not mean every painful bond is meant to last, but it does mean that what transforms you should be studied, not dismissed too quickly. Ask yourself this: what has this connection awakened in me that ordinary life never could? What truth has it forced me to face? What strength has it demanded I build? Those questions matter. And if you keep listening, the next part may help you understand why the return, if it comes, must come from wholeness and not from need. If this person comes back, let it be because truth became louder than fear. Let it be because healing made honesty possible. Let it be because both hearts grew enough to meet each other without games, confusion, and emotional hiding. That is the kind of reunion worth having. Not one built on panic. Not one built on loneliness. Not one built on the same old wounds, wearing new clothes. A real return has to come with clarity, with openness, with the courage to stay present when feelings become deep. And until then, your task is not to freeze your life. Your task is to become brighter, stronger, cleaner in your energy, more alive in your own purpose. The more you do that, the less this story feels like a prison, and the more it feels like a path that is shaping you whether or not the final chapter has arrived yet. And that is why your peace matters so much, because peace is not giving up. Peace is preparing. Peace is trusting that what belongs in your life will not need endless force to appear. Peace is the point where love stops being chaos and starts becoming truth. If you feel this deeply, stay a little longer, because the final part is where everything comes together, and I do not want you to miss the one message your heart may have needed all along. So breathe for a moment, put your attention back into your own chest, feel how much life is still here inside you. You are not forgotten. You are not foolish for feeling deeply. You are not weak because a bond touched you in a way you cannot easily explain, but you are being asked to rise, to hold your heart with more wisdom, to trust without collapsing, to care without chasing, to believe without turning your peace into a sacrifice. If this connection is real, it does not need fear to keep it alive. It needs truth. It needs readiness. It needs two people brave enough to meet what they feel, instead of hiding from it. And if that moment is coming, no amount of distance, silence, or temporary confusion will stop what is meant to unfold in a healthy way. Until then, live, grow, heal, create a life so full of light that love, when it arrives, meets you standing tall instead of waiting in shadows. Let your calm become your power. Let your trust become your strength. Let your life become the proof that deep feeling can exist without self-loss. And if something inside you has been quietly waiting to hear exactly this, then take that as your sign to move differently from this moment on. Not with fear, not with pressure, but with a steady heart, clear eyes, and the kind of inner certainty that changes everything.